honor to walk among the gods, and yet you spit on it like it was dirt.
I did not ask for the throne of Ares. I wish only to find my brother.
Ah, yes, the other one.
Your brother does not have much time.
We survive. Who spared you?
Erinys, the daughter of Thanatos, the god of death.
A message.
Our labor begins.
The temple of Ares in Sparta holds the secret that will lead to your brother.
Your brother belongs to Thanatos. So blood.
You will never get the skull.
This is not a wise course of action, Kratos.
You cannot stop me. Nothing can.
Do not seek the domain of death.
But Deimos, he needs.
This is all that awaits you at the end of your journey.
They will all try to stop us.
My lord, I knew you would return. I told the servants of death nothing.
You are a Spartan. Even in death, you stand tall for battle.
And with what was probably unintentionally the easiest boss in the franchise so far, welcome back to more Let's Play God of War Ghost of Sparta. We got the Scourge of Erinys, our second magic power that we won't be using, all that much, but we have it now. It's more powerful than the Eye of Atlantis for sure. It stun locks enemies. It can pull them around if they're all close enough. But again, I'm not going to be using it all that much. It also builds up your combo like nobody's business. So it's a very good way to build up combo and get extra red orbs through a large combo meter. Again, I'm not going to be using it that much because compared to just your regular weapons, the Hyperion grapple, launching enemies up into the sky occasionally, there are plenty of better ways to deal with enemies in Ghost of Sparta. But if you have unlimited magic, then no reason why you can't, let loose with the Scourge of Erinys. It's a good way to deal some ship damage to larger enemies, to stun lock some minor enemies. It's something I'll be using occasionally, just like the Eye of Atlantis. It has its purposes, but it's not something that I'm going to be relying on in the same way that I'll be relying on my weapons or techniques like Hyperion grapple and launching enemies up into the sky occasionally. Got 2 more item chests here. We also have a save point. I would recommend not saving at the save point. There's one that's coming up in a few minutes after this one. And if you save at the save point, for some reason, the music cuts off here. As you're introduced to Sparta. For the first time in the franchise, we get to go to Sparta. If, for some reason, you save at that save point, the music cuts off here for some reason, which is unfortunate. But we're here in Sparta. The first time we're home. It's nice. Here Kratos is actually comfortable, can just walk around, doesn't have to constantly be on guard all the time. He will be in a little bit, but for now, for the regular streets of Sparta with his loyal supporters, his people, he can just strut. Just strut his stuff, open the occasional chest here and there. It's good. Life is good here for him. Kratos isn't a beloved god everywhere, but here in Sparta, he is beloved, which is good to see. This is also where Ghost of Sparta brings in what is, I should say, the franchise's last sexy time minigame. It's not the last sexy time minigame we'll see because we're playing the games in chronological order, but in terms of games that, in terms of release date, this is the last God of War title with a sexy time minigame. So yeah, that's something. This sexy time minigame is different, not just because it comes in a lot later than the other sexy time minigames, but also because there is an item involved for completing this sexy time minigame. It's not just here for the red orbs, you actually get something for doing this. Specifically, you have to do this 3 times. If you do this minigame 3 times, you will get the 3rd relic of the game. So, if you're interested in fully completing Ghost of Sparta, and getting all the trophies and getting all the things, then do the sexy time minigame 2 more times, as I'm doing right now. And once you finish it 2 more times, you will go ahead and get the special relic. You won't get that many red orbs. Again, as with all sexy time minigames, there's diminishing returns every time you do it, but you do get Aphrodite's Ambrosia for doing it a 3rd time. It is the only relic in the game that is secretly hidden. Well, it's the only relic in the main campaign that is secretly hidden. There's a total of 6 relics. 5 of them you can get in the campaign. Aphrodite's Ambrosia is probably the most complicated to get, only because it's not just in your path. You have to specifically do something that you won't think to do multiple times, and in order to actually get it. There is one other relic that is not in the main campaign that is, a little bit more complicated to get, but it's something that we'll discuss in the extras video, as opposed to these main episodes. For now, though, Kratos is on his way home. He has some memories that he has buried for a while, but now that he knows Deimos is alive and that he can possibly save him, it's time to confront these memories directly. Time to confront these memories directly with a special minigame. In this minigame, you play as young Kratos, and you have to defeat Deimos in training. In spear and shield training, which is the first weapon any Spartan ever learns, if you recall God of War Ragnarok, for those of you that play that game. Very nice that Ragnarok holds continuity from Ghost of Sparta, and just from real Spartan culture. Anyway, the Deimos minigame, very simple. Just taunt him to open him up to attacks, attack him when you can, kick him when you can, do enough damage, mash circle when that prompt comes up, and soon enough you'll be done. And be treated to a lengthy, fun cutscene that really gets into everything that happened to Deimos. I'm also going to incorporate one of the Ghost of Sparta extras. Because Ghost of Sparta features 3 video extras that are actually canonical good videos that I decided to incorporate into the main story because they're very good. So here we go. Time for cutscene.
Born as loyal sons of Sparta, the 2 brothers trained and dreamt of one day joining the ranks of the great Spartan army.
A Spartan warrior never lets his back hit the ground. Even in death, a Spartan stands tall for battle. You are a Spartan, are you not?
Yes, Kratos.
But that never was to be. After the Great War with the Titans, the Oracle had foretold the demise of the Olympian gods and the destruction of Olympus. She saw that it would be brought about not by the hands of the Titans, who thirsted for revenge, but by the hands of a mortal, a marked warrior. Whoever controlled the marked warrior controlled the fate of Olympus. Forgive me.
Deimos.
Kratos! Deimos! Where are you? Come home, my sons!
On an ill-fated day, Deimos was taken under the eyes of his brother Kratos, the brother who had vowed to always protect him. This single event would forever change the course of Kratos' life. His destiny, his cursed fate, had been set in motion. The loss of his brother would leave an indelible mark on him, a memory he could not forget. As he vowed never to falter again, Kratos adorned a red tattoo on his body in honor of Deimos. A tattoo in the very image of his brother's birthmark. This tattoo would become a somber reminder for the man who would become a god. The warrior, known as the Ghost of Sparta.
Deimos, I will find you.
Okay. That was a lengthy cutscene. I went ahead and incorporated the extra video, one of the Ghost of Sparta extras videos there as well, to really hammer in some stuff about Kratos, which is really interesting. You know, this whole Deimos thing is not something he ever talked about in other games, but it's obviously very important to him, to the fact that he tattooed his brother's birthmark on his body. So the last vestiges of his family, his brother, his wife, and his daughter, are all on his body in one form or another. That's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. We're now in the jails of Sparta. This is going to be a short little area that culminates in a boss fight. In another big boss fight that I'm actually not going to die to at all, because it's not broken like Aranis. I just got pretty lucky and, you know, did pretty well in my playthrough with this particular boss fight. It's a boss fight that I expected to die at a few times because of my practice playthroughs. I died a few times to this thing every time I played through this game. But in this recording session, instead of doing worse as I usually do, I actually did a little better. Didn't die to this thing at all. Here in this room, we're being introduced to satyrs, similar to how they were in Chains of Olympus, because of course Ready Dawn Studios also made that game, so they're going to be reusing assets and enemies and stuff. The satyrs they're a little less annoying than they were in Chains of Olympus, but not by much. Not really. They can still be pretty devastating, especially in the highest difficulty. They have this slide attack that they can do that just knocks your health down by like half every time they do it in God mode. It's very annoying. But I find generally they have less health than they did in Chains of Olympus. I find that it's a short little cutscene introducing us to the Dissenter. I find that the satyrs overall have things that make them better and worse than they were in Chains of Olympus. That Dissenter, by the way, is part of an ongoing subplot in God of War about loyalists of the now deceased Ares who are trying to get revenge and trying to bring the original God of War, back to life. It's a subplot that goes nowhere. It's introduced technically for the first time chronologically in the God of War comic series that I covered in the interlude video. This game, Ghost of Sparta, brings it back a little bit with the Dissenter, but it also just very quickly snuffs that plot line out completely. There is nothing to the storyline of Ares loyalists trying to get revenge on Kratos and trying to bring Ares back to life. It never goes anywhere in terms of the larger franchise. Spoiler alerts, I guess. But I mean, if you played God of War 2 or 3 and know anything about them, you know that storyline goes nowhere, really. So I'm not really spoiling that much by telling you that these guys don't really get much done and that there aren't really that many of these guys at all. It's just this Dissenter that we see, and you know, potentially the other people in the Spartan jail are other Ares loyalists. But they've all been swiftly dealt with by the fact that they're all in jail. There's never any big riot that leads them all getting out or trying to get revenge on Kratos or anything. So this whole plot line of loyalists to Ares that want to try to get back at Kratos for what he did to Ares never, ever, ever really goes anywhere. And it's kind of disappointing. And kind of weird they put it here at all. I guess they needed something to fill in the time before we got to God of War 2, but I mean, there's other stuff you could have done, or you could have committed to it a little bit harder with this particular plot line. Either way, the Dissenter is going to treat us to a fun little boss fight in a few minutes. Once the actual gate opens, this is the time gate. There we go. We're at full health and full magic, so we can move on. Piraeus Lion is our next boss, and the Dissenter's final desperate gamble to try and kill Kratos. I guess his only desperate gamble to try and kill Kratos, because again, the storyline doesn't really go anywhere. It doesn't really take up too much time at all. The Piraeus Lion, pretty difficult. These few attacks has a claw strike. It has a thing where it gets up on its hind legs and tries to slam its whole body weight down on you. It also has a roar that can stun Kratos. Its basic claws, both of its basic attacks can be parried. I'm pretty sure the attack where it throws its body weight down on you can't actually be blocked, but it can be parried, and the basic claw swipe can also be parried and potentially blocked, but I would probably bet harder on just parrying it. I use the Eye of Atlantis a lot because this thing is really, really fast and has a lot of health, and I want to chip away a little bit and take advantage of invincibility frames. So I use the Eye of Atlantis a lot for this particular boss. Again, it's not something I use that often in the main playthrough, but for this particular boss, it's something I relied on a bit because the Piraeus Lion is really, really fast, and it combos its attacks and its roars together really, really quick, and it does a lot of damage. I'm already almost dead. I don't die. As I said, I had a pretty good run with this, but not so good that I did it damageless. It's really, really fucking fast. Yeah, but you can block everything it does. You can parry everything it does. Try to instill as many fire cores as possible and keep instilling fire cores, because you want to make sure that when it roars, it immediately... If it has a fire core while it's roaring, it's going to get stunned and not going to follow up on a devastating attack on Kratos. So try to instill as many fire cores as possible. You know, I got stunned by it, but because it had a fire core, it wasn't able to follow up with a claw strike or throwing its body weight down on me. It immediately got hurt by the explosion of the fire core, and allowing me to survive longer, which is good because now we're at the end of the fight. Now we have ourselves a quick QTE. We will deal with this lion, and then we'll deal with the Dissenter, who got in our way for a grand total of, like, less than 5 minutes, I think. Again, very much a nothing plotline. At this point, we have enough red orbs to also finish upgrading Thera's Bane. Remember, our upgrade order so far has been Blades of Athena up to level 3, and then Thera's Bane maxed out. That is the priority to start off with. We have Scourge of Aranis unlocked, but we don't care about upgrading Scourge of Aranis. Again, it's decent, it's something we're going to be using every now and again, but it's not a priority to level that thing up compared to Thera's Bane and the Blades of Athena.
You!
And with the Dissenter dead again, gotten our way for a grand total of less than 5 or 7 minutes. I don't know, just a kind of nothing addition here. We can continue our quest and move on towards the Temple of Ares. and actually get back to serious business as opposed to foolish distractions. We'll use his body to lower that ladder, which is great. Open the second chest. There we go. Smash some barrels again. Always be exploring. Do whatever you can to increase your orb count. There aren't going to be that many orbs, and as you'll see by the time we get to the final episode, we're going to barely have enough red orbs to finish upgrading everything, but we will have enough red orbs to finish upgrading everything. And that's thanks to a focus on Hyperion attacks on enemies. More than anything. Only one more Gorgon's Eye, I think, until we fully finish upgrading all our health, which is good. The Mounts of Laconia are a pretty quiet area. This area doesn't feature its own boss, similar to the Mounts of Irania that had Aranis, or the Jails of Sparta that had the Piraeus Lion. Mounts of Laconia is a pretty quiet area. Just going to be a few basic encounters here and there. The first one being with more of these hounds. Remember, as I said in episode 2, with these hounds you don't want to Hyperion grapple them. They're one of the few enemies you absolutely don't want to Hyperion grapple. You're going to be left vulnerable to other attacks. Just regular grab them, because regular grabbing them is going to give you plenty of invincibility frames and let you do plenty of damage for free. And of course, there is Bane and Slowing Fire Cores. That's all good stuff as well. Another save point. There we go. Another very short episode, again, as I said in episode 3 and episode 2, as I've kept saying throughout this whole playthrough. Ghost of Sparta really front loads its big areas, big expansive areas to you at the beginning, as opposed to building up to them for the middle or for the end. We started off with Atlantis and the island of Crete, and now we're just very quickly going through a whole bunch of different places in a very short period of time in our truncated quest to save Deimos and gain access to the domain of death. Something I'm sure God of War 2018 fans and Ragnarok fans are used to, the slow sidle, slow climbing, but of course, unlike those games, we don't have fun dialogue to keep us invested while we do this. So a point in the favor to the Norse saga. Very, very slowly making our way. And there we go. We can go down. We can swing. There we go. That's nice. It's kind of unfortunate 2018 and Ragnarok don't feature blades swinging sequences like the Greek saga does. I guess Kratos is too old for that kind of stuff, but it'd be nice to have had like one at some point. This encounter features Gorgons and Satyrs. You want to prioritize the Satyrs because, again, Gorgons can't actually do any damage to you in this game unless they freeze you. And you want to encourage them to try and freeze you, to do the beam attack on you, to try and freeze you, because they can freeze the Satyrs, giving you an easier time to actually deal with Satyrs. But if they don't, then that's fine too, because that means you can just Hyperion grapple and do some extra damage with triangle attacks. Anytime an enemy is going to attack you while you're in the middle of a Hyperion grapple, you're not invincible while you're doing attacks after you knock an enemy to the ground with a Hyperion grapple. Anytime an enemy is about to attack you or freeze you, as the Gorgon did, always press circle to throw the enemy that you had thrown to the ground, because throwing an enemy after a Hyperion grapple has full invincibility frames, and enemies back off of you immediately when you try that. So Hyperion grapples are good. They have plenty of invincibility frames for the most part, but while you're in the part where you're actually beating them on the ground, you're not going to be invincible. So if an enemy is about to freeze you or attack you, immediately press circle before they do that to actually gain more invincibility frames and take the pressure off of you for a moment. And I say Gorgons can't hurt you, but that one did when I messed up the QTE. That is the one time a Gorgon can hurt you, when you mess up the QTE. So, classic risk-reward system. Risk-reward situation there. Already almost done. We're already almost at the Temple of Ares. Again, these areas, aside from the island of Crete and Atlantis, are very, very short, very, very quick areas, very truncated areas to give the sense of our quest having scale. But ultimately, the areas that Ready at Dawn Studios prioritized were areas that we explored in the beginning. These areas here are all just transition areas to get us from point A to B really, really quickly, as compared to Atlantis, which they really wanted to heavily push and emphasize and really get you looking at and exploring and stuff. Or the island of Crete, you know, the surrounding territories of Atlantis. Those are the areas that were really focused on making sure that you saw and explored and really took in, as opposed to, you know, stuff like this, which is just real quick tours to get you to one place real fast. This is, I believe, our last encounter in the Mounts of Laconia. It's pretty basic, but I do take some damage here every now and again. Some armored hoplites and some archers. I would recommend taking advantage of the invisible wall here before this little alcove, this little cave alcove place that you got to the archers through. Hoplites can't actually reach you through there, and the archers aren't going to chase you. So if you want to take advantage of this to, you know, get in some free damage without having to worry about dying, then go ahead, because I was pretty low on health. And again, archers aren't the most difficult thing in the game, but they do a lot of damage, as most things do in Ghost of Sparta. This is pretty funny. Just a funny little whooshing noise that came up. It just reminded me of Breaking Bad outtakes. But anyway, go ahead and dispatch this final archer, and we move on, because I believe that is our final encounter for this whole thing. After this, there's still going to be some story, there's still going to be some exploration, but in terms of actual fighting, that encounter with the armored soldier and the archers is basically it. I mean, I could be proven a liar right now. There could be enemies on this rope, but there aren't. I could also be proven a liar with enemies being on this rock wall that we're about to climb up. But I guess we'll find out after I open this chest. There we go. Some health. ABE, break pots. Am I a liar? Are there more enemies here? No, there aren't. Okay. Cool. Another save point, and we make it to the second temple of the game. First we had the Temple of Poseidon back in Atlantis, and now we have the Temple of Ares. There's the title. And a short cutscene introducing us to a character from God of War 2.
Pull! You! Move further out! My lord, we shall make quick work of this, and erect a statue befitting of your glory. That's right, man! Now pull! All hail Lord Kratos, the god of war!
All hail Lord Kratos!
My lord, I have something for you. I shall return.
That guy is known as the Last Spartan, and he's going to have a more substantial role in God of War 2. That's pretty cool.
Face thyself, and your fate shall be seen.
Kratos stood in the Temple of Ares. It was a somber reminder of who and what he had become. The ghost of Sparta, the god slayer, and now the very person he had once despised, the god of war.
Nice. I really like that cutscene a lot. It's a very introspective thing that we don't really get to do that often in the main trilogy of God of War, but we have an opportunity to do a lot more of in the side games like Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta. Really, really nice. But the Temple of Ares is not that big of an area. It's very, very small, actually. It's just this room, a throne room, which I guess Ares sat in sometimes when he was down on Earth and not on Mount Olympus, with a couple of chests. I believe these chests are going to hold, the last Gorgon's Eye. Our final health upgrade of the game. That's great. Can't actually interact with the throne, even though we're the God of War, and you'd think we could, but we can't. Here's another big cutscene.
Kratos knew he had to return to Atlantis, back to the sunken city. Only there would he find the entrance to Death's domain, and the brother he left behind.
I also let the fight play out just because that was very heavy on the dialogue that I wanted you to listen to, so yeah, that's it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Let's Play God of War Ghost of Sparta. Next time, we're making our way back to Atlantis because we got the skull. It's time to go back and seek access to the Domain of Death. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.